Can customers go hands-on with this? Are you guys going to be at some conferences or?
We are part of the workshops that we offer from the Code4z perspective. So there is a special workshop for the extension. Use our infrastructure, do the schema changes. So we have a scenarios for the upcoming Mainframe Tech Exchange here in Prague.
April 21st to 23rd.
Share, which is coming
in Orlando. Yeah.
Yes.
Check out CenterStage, check out the extension, and do try to make it to either Share or please join us for the MTE in April. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of What's Up Mainframe. We are going out of the DevOps space a little bit today, although there's a little bit of synergy, and we're going to go talk about DB2. I'm joined by Denis and Sergei, who work among our DB Tools teams. And there's a lot of exciting news coming out of the DB2 space. There have been some major releases recently, and we want to talk about those and about some of the roles in the DB2 space and how they can benefit from it. So welcome, Denis, Sergei.
Thank you very much for having us.
So there's CenterStage, there's a VS Code extension. Let's hear about them. So can you talk about CenterStage maybe, Denis?
Yeah, so last October at the IDAC EMEA, we announced two releases. Okay. So one was the CenterStage, which is our modern web UI.
Okay.
That is targeting database administrators to help them with common duties, more like assistant kind of tool, where you can do catalog management, you can execute SQL, you can do some schema generation, you can execute commands. So it can be very handy to what DBAs do every day.
Okay.
And the second thing we announced is the Code4z DBM Db2 VS Code extension. That's
all right.
Name.
Exactly. So the Code4z Db2 extension, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So this extension is basically a next generation of our CLI plugin for Zoe.
Okay.
But it's more convenient. It's so much more convenient, like in comparison to executing 4 commands in a row. You can just have a local pipeline and run one command in a batch.
That's fantastic. And of course, it takes advantage of VS Code and the whole interface.
Yes, and the whole Zoe infrastructure as well.
And I can add, it's actually when targeting a little bit different personas.
Well, that's where I wanted to go actually. So, because I mean, DB2 is a space where there's a lot of tooling around it. Obviously, it's kind of the backbone of so much of what we do. So why create a web UI for DBAs? Why go into VS Code when there was a successful CLI plugin?
So different reasons, but it all comes from the needs, right? So we have classic persona that DBA. DBA need to have a center place where he or she works and do, schema changes, do, like SQL execution, do the object manipulations. So they prefer to have a center place where you can do and also do a lot of orchestration, right? And however, we got new personas coming, more, younger generation. So they tend to use, tool in the webs, right? So that's why we start focusing on the CenterStage to complement. And as of now, it's DB2 for ZOS, but obviously we have other databases. So we want to have a center places like CenterStage.
Yeah.
That's we're going to be having more databases. But speaking about the DB2, yeah, that's the focus, to have the DBA, have the center place to do a lot of, classic database manipulation. So it's how.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And so then VS Code?
And the VS Code, I would say the main goal here is to ease the onboarding process. For example, I remember my early days with mainframes, and I was really excited when I learned this technology, but I was in a depression for about a week. I was thinking I will have to work with this technology for the rest of my life. Yeah, it's funny right now, and but I bet this is the exact impression people get when they start working with DOS. Sorry, but that's what we want to do. We want to make people feel comfortable from day one and make them learn later on when they need to.
Yes.
So let me clarify. His role is a developer.
Yeah, no,
and that's
definitely.
where developers live, right? They live in the VS Code and they want to do the changes there. They don't want to leave the tool. And if you think of the DB2, our major focus about VS Code is schema management.
Yes.
And I can talk a little bit more about it if you're interested.
Oh, of course, always.
Okay, so what is schema? it's typically you have a table, right? Table lives in the database.
Yep.
However, the definition of a table is a schema. Create table, Zag, and has these columns. And if you think of that, this is actually the code.
Yeah.
So, and we want this code to be managed as the code. So we can put it into the source version control system. We want to be able to deploy it to different places, and that's why we got those use cases. Sitting from the VS Code, I can do manipulations, and if I'm done, I have a CLI to kick off the pipeline and do that, deploy it on multiple servers.
Definitely. So you're working so there's the DBA side of things, that's where CenterStage, that's for kind of managing at the higher level, and then for actually manipulating databases, working with the schema, that's going to be in VS Code because that's where developers are most comfortable. And Code4z, obviously, is our Broadcom mainframe pack of extensions. It's no longer just DevOps. It encompasses everything, including
Getting
DB2.
pretty broad, yeah.
So I want to focus on the Code4z side of things and this DB2 extension and what customers need to have to get started with it and what the initial experience really looks like. So how do you get started with that extension?
We have a set of, I call them hard requirements, but they are not really hard because most of our customers already have them in place. Our users will need RC compare, RC migrator as a product baseline, and then they need the DBM data service to work with REST APIs. That's actually a bridge from client application to 30 plus Broadcom experience in mainframes. And on the client side of things, it's really easy, and all you need is VS Code, the extension, or I would recommend having the pack of extensions, Code4z.
Yes.
And we were really impressed by Zoe Explorer when we started. So if you have both, don't be surprised, you will have 2 additional views on the Zoe Explorer panel.
Oh, excellent. So it really extends and you have some other section in the tree of Zoe Explorer. Okay, excellent.
And one more thing why we decided to do that,
Yep.
we ultimately share configuration.
Yes.
So I'm fan of Zoe CLI and the Zoe Explorer because it has concept of the team configuration.
Yes.
That can be centrally prepared, and this is what DBA would actually prepare, and then can be deployed to the workstations.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so you use that team config, and then
Yes, with team config, we use API mediation layer for secure communication. That is an industry standard these days, so we wanted to be aligned with that, and we wanted to reuse what people already have in Zoe CLI, and all the profiles they had configured before, they can be reused.
yeah, so that makes it really easy then. You get the extension pack, you go inside, you can find connections to the subsystems, right? This is how you go into work with the schema. Okay.
Yeah, again, you need to deploy schema somewhere,
Yeah.
or get it from somewhere. If you have Git or Endeavor, you can get it from there. But you can also generate the schema definition from a physical table.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually one of the major use cases. Generate DDL. We call it DDL data definition language,
Yep.
which is a schema.
That's perfect. So these things came out, so you said October at iDoug for
Yeah.
CenterStage, and the VS Code extension was about the same time?
The same actually day.
So, okay, it's the exact same time. Yeah, it's kind of the whole group, sorry.
Yeah.
So what was the reception?
It was good. It was good. Obviously, CenterStage as is more fancy, speaking from the web UI, and we really focused on that one.
Okay.
Code4z and the extension, they are very handy. So probably don't speak too much about it. So I'm glad you invited us to speak more about that. So that was actually really good. If you talk to the customers, if you talk to the consultants in the field, they were excited. We didn't have, from Broadcom standpoint, extension for DB2.
Yep.
And now we have it, and obviously we will continue adding, more functionality into that. Just, first version is out there.
Yeah, of course. And so, can you speak to some of the things that you're working on in the extension or requests you've had?
Yeah, I think we can share a couple of things. So the first thing we work on right now is SQL execution.
Okay.
We will support multiple queries. We will run them in real time, and the user can decide whether they want to stop if some failure occurs or continue. That will also allow some recovery capabilities after deployment which was not, which produced unexpected results. Another thing that comes to my mind is our web UIs that are embedded in our VS Code extension, they are based on precision. And precision is really good. It's award-winning technology. But we feel like it would be more natural to have something looking like VS Code UI. So Precision team does a great job right now as we speak, and they are creating a theme that will replicate the VS Code style. So that's what we want to make in the nearest future. And I think one of the things we also wanted to do is copy objects capability, which is available right now. We wanted to improve it and make it more robust. That's what I was talking about, like it's a local pipeline. In comparison to CLI, it's 4 commands in a row. It's almost impossible to make a mistake, but it allows too much control for the user. So we want them to stop at a certain point and assess how much data they are copying. So we want to count.
Yeah, specifically, as you touch upon the precision. So why we needed even WebView there, right?
Yep.
So one of the major use cases for the extension is deploy schema change, right? You have your definition of a database with all the objects, and you say, okay, deploy here. That's what the tooling can do for you. It is not just about executing that statement, but to do it in a smart way. If you have a table and just adding one column, you don't want to drop and recreate the table because it's an outage. So tooling is smart enough to give you an alter and do it in a smart way, right? And even if drop is needed, it will unload the data, recreate the table, and load the data back. So, however, think of that. If you have a production, and that's probably not what developers will want to work at, but DBAs, they also will use the tool. So they will go and run it, and it can possibly run against production. So if you look at that, said, okay, it is very powerful, and if you happen to dropping something, you want to be, before you proceed, you want to review.
Of course.
So, and that's where the deploy will step in. We show a nice report saying, okay, these objects are impacted because you might touch one table, but it touches 5 other tables. So we show what is happening, say, oh, this one will do the drop and recreate, will be just altered. Are you okay or not? And then you can either proceed or stop, and that's where we have some nice reviews. And that's what Sergei also refers for the creating objects. If you have a object which has 5 billion rows and you want to copy it, that might take a while. So you probably want to make sure you do it under control.
You exercise caution there.
Exactly.
No, it's fantastic to hear this because as we've interviewed various teams about creating, especially VS Code extensions, there's always this initial, all right, we're bringing in quite a bit of functionality. VS Code itself provides a great interface. How can we use that look and feel and apply it to the workflows that our users expect? But then also, how do we rein in the capabilities? It's the same thing with Explorer for Endeavor, right? It depends on your access rights, but you can really view a lot of information necessarily, but do you really want to do that from VS Code? So it's just nice to hear about this evolution and how quickly you're already moving, having just released the extension, but it sounds like you're already building it out quite a lot.
Sergei is doing a great job.
That's
I'm
perfect.
asking questions, and how about this, how about that?
It's a team effort.
No, that's fantastic. And CenterStage as a whole, is there much planned?
Yeah, definitely. So we keep adding new objects to support. We're considering additional use cases. So for example, we are having plan to target the performance tuning. So that's what we want to have. As you have the SQLs, you want to fine tune them. So visual explain, and so forth. That's what we beyond all other things, other databases like IDMS, Datacom, we also consider those to be added as center.
So it really is that CenterStage.
Yes.
I really appreciate the name now that I know everything that's going to go into it.
Yeah, it was quite a bit of debate. We were not so creative with the VS Code name, but with the web UI, it was a good team effort.
Certainly. Well, Denis, Sergei, it's been great having you guys here. If you're watching this, please do check out CenterStage. Please check out the DB2 extension. It's exciting capabilities for your DBAs, for your developers, and everyone in between.
And reach out if you have any better ideas, suggestions, improvements. We are here.
And that's one final point is, can customers go hands-on with this? Are you guys going to be at some conferences, or where can we look forward to finding out more, so to speak?
Good point. So yeah, we are part of the workshops that we offer from the Code4z perspective. So there is a special workshop for the extension.
Okay.
So we were offering similar workshop for our CLI and Ansible collections that we have. Now this is focused on the extension. So you can use our infrastructure, do the schema changes. So we have a scenario, so that works well. So we have that targeted for the upcoming Mainframe Tech Exchange here in Prague.
April 21st to 23rd?
Yeah, and we surely will be actually Share, which is coming
in Orlando.
Yes, so we're gonna have there, plus iDogs.
Okay,
of course, we're gonna be there.
Fantastic. So check out CenterStage, check out the extension, and do try to make it to either Share or please join us for the MTE in April. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.